It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's the most entertaining late night thing happening in the pro wrestling world. It is your post AEW Dynamite podcast here on the Wrestling Inc. channel across all platforms. I am your host, coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Justin LaBar, being joined by my normal trio championship lineup here on Wednesday nights. First, north of the border in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He was a sports entertainment referee for more than 20 years. He's the man who made counting three look cool. He is the one, the only Jimmy Korderas. Jimmy, how are you tonight?
Other than trying to stay warm, I'm doing really well, and glad to be back with the Wednesday night trio here and to defend our, is it Wednesday night trios championship?
It is our Wednesday night trios championship. I'll put us up against anybody, mainly because we have the heater. She is the spiciest, feistiest thing south of Miami. She is our Puerto Rican NYC Demon Diva. Isa, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk some Dynamite with my favorite boys, my Wednesday boys. I look forward to this night all week long. I want you guys to know that.
I'm glad you said that. It definitely does help me. It's the midway point in the week. It's hump day. It is something to look forward to. It's like, all right, I'm wrapping Wednesday up, going into Thursday feeling good, going into busted open Friday feeling good. Then it's the weekend. You never know what the weekend's going to bring. I agree. Wednesday, this is the best way to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
I hear you.
A lot to talk about.
20 baby. 20 in 10.
Oh, we're already starting a 20 and 10. We're already starting that.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy's already he's loading the sack of potatoes up on the back of the truck as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that. Some good, some bad, some ugly in Dynamite, as there is almost every week, but that's what makes this show go round. So we'll talk about that. This is the live Wednesday night, November 1st. Despite what your screen might say, I have no idea why it says October 25th on I know it's at least says that on YouTube and maybe Twitch. Don't know what happened. Not Marty McFly in this. We're not going back in time. It is November 1st. We appreciate all of you. Love all of you that are here live, watching in the chat rooms of whatever platform it might be. Appreciate all of you guys that check us out on the archive. I know I said this Monday. I'll say it again because I know there's different audiences between Monday and Wednesday. For those of you that check us out on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of those audio-only platforms, you check us out after the fact. I don't have an answer for you as to why it's taking longer for it to get out. All I can say is like, when we're done recording, it's out of our hands. So different workflow, different people. Apologies, but please stick with us. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, keep a friend. That will be much appreciated. Excuse me. All right, let's. We weren't sure if we were going to do a news item. This one kind of came out on the Wrestling Inc. pretty close to Dynamite starting. Felt like it is kind of newsworthy because nothing else really touches on it tonight in Dynamite. So here it goes. This is a report coming from Fightful Select. It's back to the whole deal of TV rights. And it's talking about while TNT and TBS, which is what AEW airs on, their parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, they currently have the NBA. We know that. We see AEW constantly get preempted because of NBA stuff throughout the year. Well, that deal's apparently coming up. So there's a possibility that Warner Brothers Discovery could lose out on holding on to those NBA rights. NBC Universal, which has USA, which currently houses Raw and NXT, they might be trying to make a bid to get the NBA rights. So like that can then provide some trickle down. You know, we know SmackDown is coming back to USA. We don't know what the future of Raw is, but so there's a trickle down there on the Stanford side of things. But then there's also a trickle down, as Fightful Select kind of outlines far more eloquently than I'm saying, so you can go read the actual story, that if Warner Brothers was to lose those NBA programming, then that would be like loss of ad revenue and other things that they've been budgeting for, which might help them also, you know, keep having AEW television. And so there's like just an interesting dynamic that's out at play here of what this could do long term. We still keep waiting to hear what AEW's future is going to be in terms of their TV deals. And then, of course, there is the other programming, the pay-per-views. They still do things the traditional pay-per-view way of pay $50 to see it. There's the AEW media library. All these things, Tony Khan reportedly has a certain feeling or is worth something, but Warner Brothers hasn't quite came to the same conclusion, same price tag. They value Dynamite and the numbers Dynamite's bringing, but in terms of these pay-per-views and library, it seems like the two not on the same page. So a lot to unpack there, Jimmy. I mean, it's basically just a lot of like what if scenarios, but I really hadn't seen the angle yet of what if Warner Brothers doesn't retain NBA, what that could do positively or negative to AEW.
Well, you would think it would be a positive for AEW, although when they look at the numbers and obviously, someone like Warner Brothers Discovery, they look at the numbers, and Wednesday nights, they do fairly well. They're happy with the numbers there, but their Friday night numbers and their Saturday night numbers aren't living up to expectations. And that's a tell. Do you try to invest more into something that outside of their Wednesday night programming isn't really drawing a bigger audience and maybe should be? I think that was what happened with last week when they tried to put that pay-per-view quality match on basically TV to try and draw an audience. And I get it's during a bad time for a lot of programming because you've got the World Series going on. You got, NBA starting up again, like you said, hockey's going on. There are hockey fans out there.
And the result of that was less than 500,000 people watched Collision, by the way.
Right. And, and they're facing stiff competition and Saturday night too. And yes, I get that we've said this how many times where they say that the future is going to be in streaming services and that sort of thing. But right now the money is in television, and that's where this could possibly benefit, but I'm not 100% convinced that it will. I hope it does. Let's put it that way.
And so, Isa, not to just pull the curtain back on your entire resume, you've worked in the corporate world. You understand the value of these scenarios, and obviously the almighty dollar. There's a scenario of if Warner Brothers could not retain NBA, how that could be a knock to their ad revenue generated that would represents a significant part of their budget. But then the flip side, if they do retain and do hang on to that all so valuable NBA rights, it's expected that those NBA rights are going to cost even more than they ever have. So once again, affecting budget of what do they have room for elsewhere, like an AEW. So this is kind of like a fascinating, again, we're still down the road from this, but it's going to get here sooner than later.
It is a fascinating thing. If you really think about it, we just saw USA get SmackDown back, which makes you wonder why Fox wasn't willing to reinvest into SmackDown, which is the most successful of all the wrestling shows. So I don't think there's any telling on who's getting what anymore. I don't think people are getting comfortable with, okay, we are used to the NBA being on TNT. I know I am, but I can see them walking away for a bigger, better deal. I can see networks not being willing to pay the money that they're asking for. So I don't have a lot of opinion. I just think that is you have to watch out for it and what kind of cuts they're going to want to do if they don't get the rights to this, and what kind of cuts they might have to do if they do get the rights for it. It is actually truly fascinating in the corporate and the dollar aspect of it.
I still want to know what AEW's current deal is, because I've heard every angle to this. I've heard
that time that they have some kind of they're in it, that TNT, like Warner Bros. Are in it, some kind of ownership or something.
I've heard a scenario of there's a minority stake ownership to it. I've heard a scenario that Tony Khan is writing a check and basically buying this TV time, which that would answer some things. Because the other part of it too is Tony loves to tout. As we talked about 2 weeks ago on social media, he loves to tout any successes. I feel like if there was a deal in place where he's making X amount of dollars, X amount of hundreds of millions from Dynamite, that he would be touting that he would use that to shut down the AEW haters online, but he never has, which always makes me wonder, what exactly, are you paying for this time? Are you paying for this time? Are you gambling on yourself, trying to get them to then pay you on the next round?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy.
No. That's the big question. And you made a great point there, Justin, that he does love to tout the successes when they do happen, but he's not touting anything about, ad revenues and that sort of stuff. I know that's insider business stuff and people aren't really interested in it, but, he's talking about numbers like tonight. He basically mentioned the Wembley show and most ticket sales for any wrestling show ever and the whole bit like this. So he's not shy when it comes to touting his successes, but when it's not there, he's awfully quiet.
Yeah, don't know.
I was going to say, shout out to our super smart chat, because they're bringing up, what if Fox gets the NBA? Fox just saved $1 billion plus by letting go of SmackDown. So they're got to be out in the market looking for something. So I'm very curious about that as well.
Yeah, a lot to watch for. Jimmy set it up on a nice little tease. We'll get to announcement Tony Khan had here in a little bit that he gave on
Oh,
Dynamite.
can't wait.
Also, another little little thing there. We're always looking down the road. This one's not too far off. They kind of subtly they made a big announcement tonight about what Tony Khan had a big announcement about next summer. They also kind of like not subtly, but it was just far less hoopla. They also announced a show that's ending their year in December, which again has some fascinating little aspects to it when they announced it and what the details are. So all that we're going to cover it here over the next hour. So strap in, grab your beverage, smoke them if you got them. Let's go. All right, we're in Louisville, Kentucky. You got to say it right. It's not Louis. It's not Louis. It's Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky. AEW Dynamite. And they start Dynamite kind of unique to AEW's format. They usually always start with their open. Always, they just kind of, that's like their thing. Whatever, that's fine. They like to start with that quick 10-second open. Not tonight. They open up the video package showing us how Claudio and them got the win last week, but how Bryan Danielson got injured, got that orbital bone injury. And then we hear about how we get a promo from Claudio talking about, when you injure us, you better beware. We're coming for vengeance. So we get that whole setup. And then we get MJF versus Omega recap package from Saturday. Of course, MJF wins and retains there. And then we go to a live backstage action. Renee's backstage with MJF. He needs to find 3 partners for tonight. He's got his list. Then he FaceTimes Adam Cole. Adam Cole says he really should take Samoa Joe up with his offer. Joe's offer was, I'll be your partner if you give me a title shot. MJF not quite cool with that. He's going to go on looking for more partners, as we'll touch on for the night. And then Roderick Strong comes in and says, obviously, MJF is the devil. And then we get a clip of that devil once again. And then it's the open of the show. Pyro, Ballyhoo, and the whole works. So, Issa, real quick, that set up a lot of stories that we're going to dive into tonight. So you don't have to give me all your thoughts on all those stories, but just on the start, I kind of like this change of pace. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I especially like the video package. I've been critical in the last few weeks with you guys about the not recapping certain things and you forgetting of what happened. So, they're listening and you got to give them props for that. I mean, a FaceTime call wouldn't be what I would go to necessarily, but the video package and the recap and setting up stories, I liked. And we'll get into it more. I like the fact that this was a throughout the entire show story, but it ended up so predictable, then it made me want to slap someone.
Yeah, Jimmy. I mean, they obviously gave that big match as we talked about with 3 days notice, and then as we said, the numbers just were what they were. Right. All the more reason, show people what happened.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I agree with you. I did like the opening tonight to the show. They did an actual good job. We praise the video work of WWE when they do their presentations like that, their video packages. I thought tonight's video packages to start the show were a good way to start the show. And like you said, recap and remind people, this is what happened and this is where we're heading. Plant those seeds, as we say all the time. And then go to your opening and your pyro and ballyhoo. I enjoyed it before you get to your usual opening contest.
Yeah, our usual opening contest, international title match of Orange Cassidy up against Claudio Castagnoli. Again, Claudio out there, all business, given the fact that his one of his Blackpool Combat Club brethren, Bryan Danielson, out legit now for at least the remainder of this year. So
he's probably used to it. I mean, Bryan has not been doing very bad. Like, his injury luck has been terrible since joining the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, I gotta wonder at what point do we William Regal's been gone. That was the whole origin around Blackpool Combat. At what point do we kind of just shuffle it up creatively?
Right.
Especially with injuries.
At least something simple like a name change. That's all.
Or get rid of Wheeler Yuta. That'd be great.
Oh, okay.
That would be like
that was subtle.
She's never subtle with the Wheeler Yuta comments. How about Orange Cassidy? He's 25-1 in his singles career in 2023. Wow. 25-1, pretty good. Wow. I gotta say, after MJF, I mean, you could argue Orange Cassidy's their next biggest babyface consistently. I guess
you could. Yeah, you could probably make that argument, and his gimmick, as we like to say, doesn't sit well with everybody. But if you buy into it and you're entertained by it, it's cool.
You went there. I always said to you guys, the gimmick's not for me, but the guy gets in the ring and he puts on bangers and he continues to do it. I saw a preview of what a match between the two of them could be last week. I guess this is continuation. And I remember thinking, I kind of want to see this match. And they started the show with it. So I thought, yeah, that's great. Good for him. But the gimmick's still not for me. I like him in the ring.
Yeah, him and Claudia go at it. And Yeah, they managed to do, we're often, very under the microscope with their finishes. They managed to do a finish that it's what they often, I think, try to do with all the roll-ups. They try to protect everybody, but at least this one at least this pin came on the initiation of an offensive move. Cassidy hits a Hurricane Rana that he just folds into and is able to hook Claudio's leg. So it does still, protect Claudio. Claudio doesn't get knocked out by Orange Cassidy, for 3-second tan, but it was also still at least initiated by an offensive move rather than it just being a roll up. So I will say that was maybe the thing that made me the happiest out of all of this. Is I'm like, all right, what could have been, Jimmy, could have been just another variation of a roll up, but at least we got an offensive move that was able to tie Claudio up for just long enough.
Yeah, but still, it was in essence a roll up. So the story being told during the match, obviously, when I talk about little things, I know people get tired of why is he always talking about those little things? Because the little things matter. There was a spot there where they did on the outside where he rammed his elbow into the barricade, and he was selling, and OC Orange Cassidy was selling his elbow big time, and like. Not even a minute later, they roll towards a corner, and he's using that injured elbow to throw elbows at Claudio, and I'm thinking, and not selling it. And I'm thinking to myself, at least sell it. That and then he sold it later on in the match and stuff like that. But again, going back to your point, yes, I understand that they added to the roll-up finish to make it look a little more legit and a little more protective. What I think is they could have used his finish in this situation because they used that ring post several times on Claudio. And why not make it where there was one instance there, for example, where he went to spear him in the corner. He moved. Claudio went through to the post. Why not do the spot there? He staggers out, and then he takes the big punch for the finish or something like that. That still protects him, I think, because, people go, it was the post that got him, not really the punch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Isa, so Orange gets the win, and then, like I said, off the Hurricane Rana roll up. But then post match, Moxley appears through the crowd like he does,
Of course,
and him and Orange Cassidy just go at it. And then Moxley's going to say later how he's not happy how Orange Cassidy has his title. Of course, the injury that happened to Mox weeks ago is what caused title changes, and Orange Cassidy, like everybody else, has written off Moxley, and Moxley is used to that, but he's going to beat Orange Cassidy within an inch of his life when they get back together at Full Gear. Are you pumped for this match between Moxley and Orange Cassidy?
Maybe. I mean, this might be a repeat that we wouldn't be getting if it wasn't due to the circumstances and the injury that Moxley suffered during his match with Phoenix. So I'm willing to suspend my disbelief here. I just don't understand how Orange Cassidy will write him off when the last time we saw them face each other, Moxley basically murdered him. That's what we saw. So it's like, I doubt that he will write you off. If he's a smart dude, he probably should be watching out for you. I wanted to add on, going back to the match, that at one point, Claudio was doing the swing, but he had OC by the neck. And that spot was just so insane and intense looking. Shout out to OC with the sell, the face that he made throughout everything. I was like, Claudio just kill a guy. like he looked dead there for a second. So I automatically pop for that. I like when they bring new things and new elements into their matches. There was a lot of really smooth transitions that Claudio did, but Claudio did look near unbeatable in this match. So to Jimmy's point, you would think that they would have used something that would make you believe, because there was some times that I'm just like, yeah, Orange Cassidy is not gonna beat this guy. He looks like nobody's gonna beat him right now. So I wish they would have used the pole or something else, but the punch that ended up finishing him is one of the best lookings that Orange Cassidy has thrown, because I'm very particular with it's some kind of version of the Superman punch, and he just doesn't look like the guy that will knock you out with that. This one was very good looking, but overall, yeah, I did expect the OC and Moxley rematch after everything that went on with Moxley. I feel like we had to take a detour in that story, and now we might be getting it back to where it should have been.
I know sometimes there's subtleties in what you said. Did I just hear? Did you just say that Orange Cassidy threw a better Superman punch than Roman Reigns?
I did not say that. I said this was a good looking. I actually said this is the first one that looked somewhat believable. Okay. LaBar, that's what I said.
Okay, so I just want to make sure.
Question for you: if somebody can confirm for me that Orange Cassidy had his hands in his pocket during the pin.
Oh, did he?
I
wouldn't be shocked.
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
If someone out there can confirm that for me, because if that's the case, then it did not protect Claudio. Let's put it that way.
No, I
Right.
thought he was struggling to grab
No,
Claudia's
no, because
leg.
he grabbed him. I remember him putting his arm down to keep the shoulders down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jimmy,
okay.
I
Okay.
do recall that. But
Okay.
the sleeper swing is gonna stay in my head rent free. Like I
I hear
hope
you.
I don't want to see it every week, but I hope he goes back to that because it really just looked intense. I loved it.
Sheldon Jackson jumping in on the super chats for $9.99, saying full steam ahead with AEW Full Gear title thefts. Full Gear 2022, Nyla Rose steals the TBS title. Full Gear 23, Jay White steals the world title. Which title gets stolen for Full Gear 24, or is it done? I didn't even draw that. I did not even draw that theme.
Yeah, Sheldon, the Professor Jackson. That's what I like to call him over on my channel. Always pays attention to the little details. In 2024, they're gonna have about 200 titles to pick from. So make your bets now.
I was gonna say the question is, does Tony Khan realize this has happened several years in a row?
Yeah.
Good pull there, Sheldon.
Doesn't mean it won't happen again.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Good pull there. Good little fun fact. All right. We get some trios action here. We get Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, so the Mogul Embassy, up against the Young Bucks and Hangman Page, your ROH Trios champs. But we got Swerve and Prince Nana. They come out real quick. They grab Hangman's attention. Hangman chases them back. So now the Bucks are at a disadvantage in numbers. And at the end of the day, it's a pin on Nick Jackson after he's been beaten up 3-on-1. So we have new Trios champions. And as we'll see a little bit later,
this was for the titles.
This was for the titles. As we'll see a little bit later, the Young Bucks not thrilled. So I look, Isa, I'm usually pretty critical that, like, aside from Swerve, like nobody like especially Brian Cage, nobody in this embassy I feel like wins any big matches that matter on TV that matters. But they just pinned a Young Buck and got some titles. We're granted it's ROH titles, but it's titles on TV, so that's kind of a big deal.
And it appears to be building stories, right? Hangman left him hanging to go after Swerve as he should. I will say they didn't follow up with last week. He took off running after Swerve. Swerve is talking to an invisible baby. Like, that seemed intense for them to just come back to them this week. They're there and nothing really happened. Like, I would say I'll nitpick on that. But the Young Bucks we saw later on, I'm sorry I'm jumping ahead, but they're salty. They're on their own now. Like, Kenny Omega is over here with Jericho. Now Hangman is dealing with Swerve. Like, why did we get the Elite back together? So it seemed like we gave the Embassy a good win while building several different storylines here. So you gotta give them props for that, right? But I do think that the Young Bucks came up extra salty. Like, if you are in Hangman's position and you see Swerve after what we saw last week, you're gonna take off after him too and try to beat him up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got some thoughts on the Bucks. I'll get back to when we get there. But Jimmy, so big win for the Mogul Embassy, and also after the fact they did touch base at backstage. They didn't, to Isa's point, they didn't follow up with the home invasion last week, but they did show us backstage. Hangman eventually catches up with Swerve, and they're being separated backstage as all hell is breaking loose.
No, it kind of felt a little too. Didn't work for me. Hangman, like he should be, totally PO'd and wanted to get his hands on, and them being separated the way they were, it just didn't sit well with me. It was like, come on, man, how are you going to stop this guy? If I was one of the people who were sent to break it up, I'd say, yeah, man, back it off. But you were in the guy's house, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
anyways, I digress with that. But as far as the match itself, the post-match tantrum by was it Matt or Nick? I can't remember. One of them. But banging the chairs.
Well, Nick, I think Nick was the one pinned, so it would have been Matt who threw the.
Matt doing the.
Oh yeah, he was beating like
temper tantrum. You know that again. Why? Was he upset that Hangman left him hanging, or what was the reason? Obviously, we want to find out.
He went and flipped the timekeeper's table and
started smacking the table.
It was like they just got screwed in Rancho Cucamonga or wherever the hell they're from.
But they didn't get like screwed. They got they
outsmarted.
They were outsmarted by the heels. Yeah. Or I guess if they were the heels.
A game that they played in the past, so it's kind of funny that they're acting this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. They were acting like they're Brett in Montreal. Jesus.
Oh.
So we'll see where it all goes. We We got more Bucks talk here in a few minutes when we get to that context. MJF's search continues. He passes by Samoa Joe's door, can't bring himself to knock on that door, rips down Darby Allin's sign, and replaces it with emo bitch. Then he gets approached by the Acclaimed. He immediately just dismisses them and walks off. We'll get back to that, as that's going to be a running theme. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and he brings out Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland talks about the respect he has for Sting and Darby Allin. Christian Cage interrupts, says that he is going to retire Sting. Darby's got a bum arm, and then he threatens Adam Copeland's neck if Adam Copeland doesn't back down. All of a sudden, we got a 3-on-1 situation that Christian is orchestrating, and he teases a concerto, does Nick Wayne, but then here comes Sting and Darby. Adam Copeland hits Christian with a spear, so the first bit of physicality comes down between the two, and then he officially joins Sting and Darby for the 6-man tag match at Full Gear. A lot of Canadians involved with this, so we go to the Canadian Jimmy Korderas. Jimmy, thoughts on the execution of this entire segment and the story going on?
I was enjoying it very much, and I love the way it was leading up to them eventually facing each other at the pay-per-view, but I would have kind of liked it more if we didn't get the spear tonight.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Again, I'm being nitpicky here. You obviously, the crowd loved it, and anybody who knows Christian would want to spare him too. But at the same time, if you want to make people anxious and want to see this match and want to see Edge spear Christian eventually, you gave it to him tonight. It's almost like, I want to see him do it again. But at the same time, the first spear is always a very important one, and they could have done it in the match somewhere or somewhere.
At least they didn't miss it like WWE did when he hit his first spear back at the Royal Rumble.
Oh wow, yeah.
There's a pull. Yeah, Isa, I was like Jimmy. I was a little surprised too. They set up for it for a long time. Christian is staggering to his feet. Adam's in the corner, so I thought for sure Adam's going to charge and somebody's going to pull Christian out, because we're going to wait and you're going to have to pay to see the physicality. So I was a little surprised that happened. But overall, I thought the way they got to the inevitable point B, which is having Copeland join them, I liked how it progressed. I liked the back and forth that we got with Christian and Adam Copeland. What say you?
I love how the atmosphere in the arena changes as soon as Christian's music hits. Like, it's just what I know. I keep bragging every week. I'm just a big fan of what he's doing right now. But I agree with you guys. I thought the spear was maybe prematurely done, because when they're just staring at each other, and you had that perfect moment at first where Luchasaurus kind of pulls Adam Copeland. I'm trying. Mm-hmm. He pulls him off. You could have stopped it there. Like, we didn't need to see it tonight. The match is made official. Now we know we're going to see them go against each other in some capacity within the next few weeks. But overall, like, I loved it. I love everything about this. I'm enjoying this feud. I'm here for all of this. I just wish the spear would have, I like the weight on that. I just the stare down I thought was sufficient for tonight.
Real quick, cheap plug for LaBar. Did an interview this past week with Adam Copeland, a full video interview.
Great interview.
Yeah, thank you. Released 2 clips so far, just brief clips. One was him talking about the first time that he delivered any bump. It happened to be that spear to Luchasaurus at WrestleDream when he made his surprise debut. And keep in mind, he didn't get to be in the ring at all early in the day because they kept him a secret all day. They kept him hidden. So he never got to go out to the ring. And once he gets out to the ring, he talks about how AEW's ring is significantly different than a WWE ring, which is the only ring he's been in. Even the ring that Adam has set up in North Carolina where he lives, it's a WWE ring, which is different than an AEW ring. So he kind of gives us a little inside baseball on that. I also showed a clip, I shared a clip earlier of him going to Seattle for the debut, and he and Darby Allin just guerrilla shooting this video that we ended up seeing just before he makes his entrance at WrestleDream. So that, just a few fun clips. The full interview be released tomorrow, so make sure you hit up on my social at Justin LaBar to see the full interview. Other things that we talk about, of course, change of scenery. One of his daughters makes a quick cameo. We have fun with that. His daughter, he let his daughter stay home from school because it was his birthday. Again, shout out to him. He gave me a few minutes on his birthday to even do this interview. I asked him about the whole, how did he get Alter Bridge in the first place? He tells me that story, which is a little embarrassing to him in the first place, of how that came down. It's a lot of fun. So
the clip so far has been epic. So I'm looking forward to seeing the whole.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Yeah, check that out tomorrow. We'll release the full thing. Okay, Tony Khan had been hyping and announcing an announcement once again. The announcement is that next year they're going back to Wembley for All In on August 25th,
It's not an announcement. We
2024.
know that already.
And December 1st, there will be a pre-sale of tickets. There's two sides of this coin, Isa.
This
On
could
the
have been
ones,
an email, LaBar.
it could have been an email. You're right.
Could have been a tweet.
I agree. I agree. But I do agree with the marketing strategy. Let everybody in London know much further in advance than you let them know last time that you're coming. Let them make plans as we approach the holidays and this and that. I like that approach, but I agree. It seems kind of, it makes these hyped, I'm doing the air quotes here. It makes these hyped announcements seem silly when we get unadvertised surprises of Adam Copeland, of Ric Flair, go down the line. It just makes, it's like, well, you don't need to hype this up. You could just, again, as you said, put out a tweet. But that being said, they're going back to Wembley next year because they are going to continue to break their records and sell more tickets.
Yeah, it's just again, you hype up this huge announcement, and then you have these other situations where you have secrets and certain superstars appear on your show where everybody pops huge for it. Now, you can make an argument that why wouldn't you announce so and so coming or so and so? I know you want to make some surprises, but if you're going to tout a huge announcement, make it mean something. Yes, okay, I know they're going back to Wembley, which was a big success for them this year. They're going back next year. You want to get the ball rolling for it. But like you said, Justin, you could have done it without trying to make it sound like it was the biggest thing since sliced bread. I don't know. It didn't live up to expectations when I heard huge announcement. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, this could have been an email. This upset me. You don't open the day by tweeting out this epic. I'm sorry. I worked myself here. You opened the day. The first thing I saw on my social media today was an incredible video package for the AEW women's division. They got Doja Cat, bro. Like, this was epic. And I'm thinking, I hope this announcement is women's related because they never done anything like that for them. Yeah, that's not what we got, right? We just got, hey, tickets. Spend your Christmas money on tickets. Don't buy AEW tickets for Christmas. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a little much, but now I go, okay, well, you're announcing this far out.
They could have used those 5 minutes to actually play that commercial that they made for the women that they ended up booking at 9:30 again. You know, just saying.
Oh, don't. My blood's gonna boil when we get to the women. Just hold on. What do we even have that's gonna move? What are they? You know, is it? Do they announce a match in like January to like try to like, or is it they moved the amount of tickets they did last time on just the sheer fact they're gonna be there? Like here, like this one. Yes, boy, super chat saying will Nigel wrestle at next year's All In?
No, it's a possibility, of course.
You know, do you build like? Does Bryan Danielson say, all right, enough's enough? I'm ready for my last match. Do you make the announcement this last match at that show? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you do?
I know that WWE pre-sells their tickets way ahead of time. You can already get Royal Rumble. You can already get all of this, right? They don't take 5-10 minutes of a show for that. You always see that on social media.
Yeah,
I know what you say. Like, you want to pop a surprise, but look at the numbers that Ric Flair segment did last week. They did nothing for them bringing him as a surprise.
Right. Yeah, I mean, WWE spent 45 seconds talking about the Bash in Berlin on Raw, and it's still a big deal.
Yeah, but it wasn't announced on Raw. They put it on social media. You know what I mean? They're just reiterated. And they announced All In at the end of the last All In. So this was just to announce the pre-sale.
Right.
Yes, and Tony Khan, his family does put up the Christmas trees in July, according to him. So yeah, that's the big announcement. So they're going back to All In. So that's going to be at Wembley on August 25th. And then like the next weekend is the Bash in Berlin. So once again, the European fans getting a quick 1-2 punch, as best we know it, with pro wrestling coming to them from WWE to AEW. So I mean, like, you know, and the one danger they run into is like we've seen AEW's ran hot and heavy these U.S. cities these last couple of years, and every U.S. city they've gone to, it's been a decrease. They're doing
because
less.
They keep going back to the same places.
Well, maybe, maybe. And if that's the case, then okay. Then Wembley should be fine. It's only going to be the second. It's a whole other year till they get back there. I hope that's the case.
The same place.
Well, because my point being is that if the content gets stale or if they're burning the audience out, what basically what I'm getting at is they made this big thing about they sold 81,000 tickets the last All In, and now they're trying to announce it even earlier with the expectation, obviously, to beat that. That's when they announced the first time, when they announced All In and Wembley the first time, we were all saying, oh, if they get 40, that's pretty good. If they get 50, that's really good. And they end up getting 80. And there's a big dispute of what's paid, what's not. But they got 80,000 plus, whatever. That's still a big deal. But now that bar is set. They have a bar they did not have the first time they announced this. And now the bar is there. Okay, well, you got to top 81,000. So what's that going to take? That's what I'm waiting to see.
I think I don't know. We'll see what the card looks like and all that. But I also feel like All in a way, was also a statement of like, give us wrestling here. We'll pay to see it. Yeah. And we'll see if they can pull it off again. But it's not going to be the only show anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I wish them all the success. I thought the last All In was great. I thought it delivered. I have fun watching it. The visuals were incredible. It is a show that I praise. But I don't think that you need to pop the big announcement thing on social media for this. When he has an actual interesting announcement, who's going to be watching? People are going to stop tuning in because it's always something that could have been an email. Corporate talk.
Right.
Could have been an email.
Yeah.
All right, we get Daddy Magic and Cool Hand and up against Jericho and Kenny Omega. Jericho hits the juice effect for the win. Then Don Callis and crew comes down, calls Kenny and Chris just cockroaches. They just won't die, won't go away. Calls them cockroaches. Well, they get challenged to a street fight in Toronto. So obviously Kenny and Chris are down 2. They need to get 2. They got Kota Ibushi, tells Kenny Omega. But then they still need one more. And Chris Jericho talks about how big and powerful Will Hobbs was. Of course, Powerhouse Hobbs just straight out squashed Jericho a few weeks ago, as we talked about. And Jericho says, Hobbs is big, but he's not a giant. Enter Paul White, formerly known as The Big Show. Right. So in a couple weeks, Toronto, Jimmy, if there's ever a need for you to put on the stripes and keep track of this shit, this is you. You don't even need to book airfare.
Is it in Toronto? I thought they said Ontario, California.
I thought they said Toronto. Well, is it Ontario, California? Maybe I think I heard Ontario and assume it's Toronto. Is that where it is? I know it's like in 2 weeks, right?
It's in 2 weeks, and if they're coming here, boy, am I out of touch because I haven't heard anything about that.
You're probably right, because I think they are going West Coast because Full Gear's LA, so they would be going west. All right, never mind. Right. You do need airfare, but you are still needed, striped shirts and all.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'll be well received with my critique of the refereeing in AEW, so I don't know how well I'd be received in that locker room. Let's put it that way.
I think the boys.
Hey, Jimmy, we love you here.
Maybe the other refs wouldn't because they'd feel scared, but I think the boys would appreciate you.
You never know. You never know, especially if I tried to, as I was talking to our friends over at Busted Open earlier today, trying to suggest to some of the talent, listen, may I suggest something? Some don't listen to the referees because they don't think that, who did you ever be? Who did you ever work with? You know what I mean? Some are like that.
That's when you answer the Undertaker. I ref the Undertaker and Adam Copeland's match at WrestleMania. What have you done? That tops any pro wrestling gorilla. That tops almost anything any of them can say they did.
Well,
amen.
Yeah. Well,
amen.
I'm trying to load your gun for you. That's all.
No, I appreciate it. Trust me. I'll let you guys do it.
I will go off topic here for a second and say that I was at a local show on Saturday, and one of the WWC referees, I was interviewing her, and she said, "You're such a huge inspiration to her, Jimmy." And she watches some of my content through my social media, and she says, "I can't believe you get to podcast with like my idol," and I had to flex. Said Jimmy's one of my favorite people in the world. Read this book, but she said how much you have inspired her, and we were just going back and forth talking about how much referees actually really like what you guys really do and how much it impacts. And I was telling her how much hearing your perspective has changed how I actually see a match now. But I just wanted you to know that you have a big fan base way beyond what you know, and she's been wrestling the only female referee here in Puerto Rico, and she said you're a big inspiration.
Oh, wow. Tell her thank you so much. I do appreciate it very much. It means a lot.
Jimmy's reach is far away. Jimmy, I've told you this person. When you first time you came to Pittsburgh here, and you did stuff with us here in Pittsburgh, and you, your wife, and me and my wife, we all went out to dinner. I was just talking about you the other day, and my wife's met a million wrestlers, tons of personalities. You're still one of her favorites, I think, just because you were just nice, straightforward, calming, cool Jimmy Korderas. So
it is like that. It is that
you're memorable in the LaBar household.
I keep everything that I do separate, so I don't talk about Wrestling Inc. when I'm doing my Lucha Libre Line thing. And she almost slapped me, and she's like, "You never told me that you podcast with Jimmy." And I'm like, "Everybody knows I podcast with Jimmy." And that's how the conversation went on, because I obviously post a clip on my stories or here and there, and she saw it. She went on to share that, so I really wanted to bring it up so that you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Jamie, we're getting you in the Hall of Fame. It's going to happen. All right, it's going to happen.
1,000%. I'm going to sit in that audience and we're going to scream.
We're getting the Hall of Fame. I was pretty excited when Kid Rock went in the Hall of Fame, and I was there, and I kept throwing racket. I'm gonna go balls to the wall if you're in the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna be sitting there on the floor.
The Wrestling Inc. and the LaBar household with our Jimmy Korderas fans. We're signs. We're gonna be there.
Hell yeah!
You guys are awesome.
Hell yeah!
Am I blushing yet?
All right, so we know what the match is going to be. It's going to be in Ontario, California. Excuse me for those that are there.
I always know. Every time they said Ontario, I assume Canada. So
I forget that there's an because that's isn't that like Anaheim basically, Ontario?
Yeah,
it's I don't know why they just say California. Just say California.
It's in Southern California.
It's Southern California, right?
Yeah,
such a dense populated area. Jeez, some of you people move the F out. Get out. Go somewhere else.
Right.
So this leads to backstage, where the Bucks are backstage with Kenny. They're like, "What's the point of the Elite even getting back together if we don't have each other's backs? Why are you hanging out with this Joker?" Talking about Jericho. Why is he even in our locker room? He's going to turn on you. He's cut from the same cloth as Don Callis. Jericho gets in their face and says, "You better back up when you're talking to me like that." Bucks walk off. This is interesting. I really wonder, like, the Bucks. Obviously they're EVPs, whatever. Like, they're statistics are proven Kenny Omega is the draw out of all of them. The Bucks don't draw the way Omega and the rest of them do in terms of TV, in terms of those guys with the Elite. I kind of wonder, like, what I feel like we're kind of running towards the end of what more do we want the Bucks to do right now? I kind of feel like you could benefit, AEW could, of having the Bucks disappear for a little bit and really try to build that tag division back up and keep building, and then they can come back at an opportune time. I just kind of wonder, like, when I see the temper tantrums tonight, when I see like this. The strife backstage, I just kind of wonder, like, all right, you've let them rub on AEW, let them rub on the ROH brand. Like, could they be better served just 100% focusing on office duties, if that's even such a thing that they have? I don't know.
Maybe the
Elite doesn't
feel like a big deal in a while now.
Yeah,
Omega's just taking losses. The Young Bucks are not doing it. I forgot they were the trios champs until tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And again, out of sight, out of mind. But at the same time, when they do make a surprising return, let's say, it'll feel different. It'll feel fresh if they can refresh their brand, so to speak, and get people reinvested in them. Because right now, like you said, the Elite. What is the deal with the Elite? More strife again in some faction, which we seem to see a lot of lately with pretty much all the factions.
Yeah. Like, I could see, like, the Bucks disappearing for a while, and then, like, down the road, because I mean, like, let's long-term book here, right? Is it not inevitable that down the road, Christian and Adam Copeland will be on the same side, and they'll at least get a few farewell hurrah tag matches together? So, like, could you imagine, maybe for a Wembley show, that you get a Copeland and Christian, a Hardys, an FTR, and a Young Bucks? You get a little bit of today's generation, a little bit of yesterday's generation, fatal four-way tag, so there's enough hoopla to kind of, like, distract or... What are you doing, Jimmy?
I was trying to do
TLC.
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know if our elders in that match want to necessarily go there. I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe you do bring in a Dudley's for, one special.
But look at it. FTR and the one dude in FTR is really close with Copeland. So, like, FTR and the Bucks, two of your tags of this generation, Hardys and then Copeland. I mean, like, and again, a fatal four-way. So you don't even need the gimmick of TLC where there's obviously the increased physicality. Just the fatal four-way, just having 8 bodies out there can mask and cover up for any loss of step anybody might have. Like, oh, I can't, I don't know. I just think things like that. But I think the Bucks need to kind of go away. Let them go away for a little bit.
Can I just bring something up that I didn't get to mention earlier because I was too busy bragging about podcasting with Jimmy?
This is 1/3 your podcast. Do what you gotta do.
Are we not concerned about Big Show's movement a little bit? Because he wasn't moving.
He didn't move
the way that, right. I didn't want to say he wasn't moving literally, but are we concerned? Are we gonna let it play out? Because he just didn't.
What I just said.
And it's big and it's full right, like it's impressive, but it wasn't a very good showing for his first return.
What I just said holds up. What I just said about the tag team, same situation.
Yeah.
It's street fight, and there's gonna be 8 guys involved.
That's why I brought it up, because you're saying that, and I'm thinking, we need to like really protect Paul Wright, because I just didn't think he looked ready to go from what we saw tonight.
Paul can slow fee-fi foam walk it. If he's walking with a chair or a trash can or a weapon and swinging that, he doesn't have to do much. This is kind of like the perfect situation to put him in. He doesn't. Street fight kind of protects him because it distracts you with a whole lot of
Remember that incredible last man standing match that he put on against Roman Reigns? Like, I know you guys are gonna be like, you're bringing up Roman, but that match is so underrated. Like, they both did such a great job making each other look great on that match.
Yeah, Paul.
Hopefully, we can do that here.
Let's see.
No, I think he's got it in him. He's one of those guys that understands. And here I go again. You don't have to do a twisting, burning 450 hammer Phoenix splash to get the audience interested. Paul White can get them interested.
NJF will probably love you for saying that, because NJF has been like talking about that constantly, and I love that he brings that up. Like, it's a lot more than doing flips and crazy spots when it comes to wrestling.
Well, of course. All right. Time for the women. Willow Nightingale is challenging Hikaru Shida.
Why?
I don't know why.
Come on.
I don't know why.
Reasons.
Give me a reason, Isa.
It's 9:30.
No. Here's the problem. No.
Ahead,
They're on the right train. The train's not late. The train's on time. The passenger's wrong. I don't watch Rampage. I'm not giving my Friday night to Rampage, but I at least read to make sure I see what's so I at least read and know, on paper, scorecard here of what happens on Rampage. I read Rampage last Friday. There was a fatal 4-way to decide who's going to be the number 1 contender for Shida.
I do remember this being announced. Okay.
Abaddon beats Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, and one other. I think Anna Jay.
Okay, so but they only had Abaddon there because it was Halloween week. That's the only time they use her.
Fine. Great.
Okay.
Abaddon wins. Yeah, she goes to the next night on Collision and she loses to Shida. Why then, 4 days later, is Willow Nightingale getting the title shot against Shida when she just lost in a number 1 contenders match? Anybody?
I dare somebody to come up with a good answer.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Answer. The answer is they're trying to do something with Shida's reign to where she's defending the title every week to make it look significant. So instead of using this time that you have with the women to build a feud that is worth investing in, they're just going to give her a bunch of random matches to say, hey, she's been champ for this long and she defended the title this many times before what we all know is going to happens, which is Toni Storm is going to take the title from her because more people are behind that.
That's fine. Yes, Toni Storm comes out after the match. She gets ran off. And actually, I'll get to the next bit because the next bit has a whole other thing. Why? Well, you have enough other women out there. Why does Willow Nightingale?
Because they killed all the momentum. She had all the momentum on her side when she beat Mercedes Moné. And now she won. Somebody mentioned on my chat, I do watch alongs. Somebody mentioned on my chat, she won the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. I forgot. That was just a few months ago.
Who did?
Completely. Willow Nightingale.
Did she
won
really?
That. Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
That's how I felt. I was
Point
like,
proven.
how do you... She beat Mercedes Moné. She immediately wins the tournament. You forget about all of that because where has she been and why is she getting this title shot? That's how it's felt. Now, don't get me wrong. The women are putting on bangers. I think Shida's doing an amazing job at giving us actually entertaining matches. I wish I cared about these matches, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
I just
Ricky Starks won the guys. By the way, in case you forgot about that too, because I did.
Yeah, I forgot that too.
Right.
I don't know. I just.
But that's one of the biggest problems we had, not only with you forgot who won the tournament and all that sort of stuff, but also you forget certain things because we see stuff happen on the show during the show, and something we should be remembering, going, "Ooh, that had impact," and right after it, they go to something else and make you. They're throwing too much at you. We talked about 20 and 10. That's part of the problem with 20 and 10. When something gets loaded into the bag, let people see what gets loaded before you load something else, and let them absorb it instead of trying to pile more on top.
I want to talk about let people see it.
Yes.
Here's my next complaint. So then after we run Tony Storm off, Willow's left in the ring, lights out, lights come back on, Julia Hart standing there. Then out comes Sky Blue. They do this little like, whose side is Sky Blue on? First it looks like she's coincided with Julia Hart. Then no, she turns around, fool ya. She spits some blue mist. You gotta spit that mist so that the back row of the arena could see it. Didn't see a damn thing.
No.
Didn't see a damn thing.
No. If
Julia
commentary
Hart
didn't say, sorry to cut you off there, Justin, but if commentary didn't say it,
you would never know.
You would never know.
Yeah, and it actually took them a little bit to get to the visual of Julia with the mist on her. So commentary really saved the day here, because I'm with you. I also didn't see it. I don't even know. You know, I go back to this commercial because I loved it so much, right? What they tweeted out this morning. But I can't help but to say it was a women's commercial. And the first thing that I thought immediately after I watched it, thinking to myself, that was awesome. The first thing I thought was, I wish they booked the women or put as much effort as they put into this commercial into their actual booking and creative. How much do you pay for Doja Cat? Like cut the budget and actually hire somebody to freaking book some good stories for these women. That's all I'm saying.
And they have, and not only that, they got to manage their picture-in-picture situations a little better, you know. And that's another rant I can go on about, you know, doing the heat spot in a tag match during the picture-in-picture, you know, where people can't. Anyway, so
it's to the point where I genuinely feel bad for these ladies. I know they're getting compensated pretty well from what I understand, but like, I just feel bad because like it's just put like Willow Nightingale. Like, I mean, I'm not critiquing her. I'm critiquing why is she in there based upon previous match results less than a week ago.
Right.
I'm not hating on the idea of Sky Blue comes out and whose side is she on, her doing a mist, you know, kind of like, you know, taking something that would be in Julia Hart and her entourage's thing, but like, rehearse it, do it right, make it big. It's just you're making them look bad.
How have we never followed up with Saraya? Nothing. She lost the title and just never to be seen again.
Fell off the map. Yep.
Yeah, like not a lot of this doesn't make sense. Chris Statlander, I don't know what show they're booking her on. Again, she looked badass on the commercial, but I'm like, oh yeah, where is she at? Right. I mean, I do this.
Britt Baker can bench press that entire damn division and just carry it on her shoulders. But
Britt Baker was, if not one of the most over person in AEW at one point. Where is she? Because if there's somebody that you can randomly throw on a title match on Dynamite, it's Britt Baker. Nobody's gonna question it. Where is she? I think she's the devil, though. That's what I heard. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna move on so I don't get in trouble.
She had devil horns on the Doja Cat commercial. Justin LaBar.
No, I saw.
Just want to say I dressed up as a devil yesterday before the commercial was released.
I saw that too. I
was a literal demon diva, LaBar.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the women were
that could be sold in the Halloween stores.
I know better than to say anything at this point. I'm just going to.
Yep.
Shout out to Jimmy. Anyways, the women were booked right before the main event as usual.
That was all right. Let's move on. No trouble sound bites here. Yes, boy, with $2 super chat saying random question: favorite place to order pizza?
First of all, you can't say yes, boy, without doing the yes, boy.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's for you to do. You did it. Good job. Yeah. All right. Favorite place to order pizza?
Wow. Favorite place to order pizza?
Yeah, it's
Well, that depends. If you're in New York City, it's definitely New Park Pizza over on New Park, or Joe's Pizza if you're in Manhattan and you need a quick one. Anything that is not a franchise. Okay, here in Puerto Rico too, don't go to the
Yes.
franchise. Go to the little pizza
Mhm.
shops local. They always have the best pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And there's a place down on a street here in Toronto called Danforth, and there's a place called Danforth Pizza House, which is just, yeah, it's worth the trip. Let's put it that way.
See, I'm going to say that this is a chain, but it's a chain only in Maryland, and they do things differently. And look at Bernie,
Okay.
my DC Maryland, Litos. They do square pizzas.
I accept
They
chains
cut
that
no
are
corners.
local to a place. I accept chains that are local to a specific place, not like Papa John's, a Pizza Hut, or like that.
No, it's you can only find them in you can only find them in Southern Maryland. Litos
Oh,
Pizza.
I know who they are. I know them.
Yeah, square pizzas. And look, my wife, she's been gluten free her whole life. She was born with celiac disease. They do a great gluten free pizza. You can get some cauliflower crust as well. Like so, whenever I'm back in Maryland, I gotta get some Litos pizza at some point.
Nice.
But I do agree overall. The chains. Stay away from the chains. If depending on what city you're in, find the local spot.
Right.
All right, the Acclaimed. They're shot down one more time. They have a bag. At MJF, just wear this and scissor us. We'll be your partners. MJF says he's got one more group still on the list. Camera pans, and it's Jeff Jarrett and company. They're left laughing maniacally as they do. Cliffhanger, commercial break. It's time. And we get Roderick Strong.
You forgot to mention the Warlow molesting MJF backstage.
Oh, I did. You're right. You're right. Earlier, as he's walking, Samoa Joe's locker room, Darby Allin's. Yeah, Wardlow did just kind of come up and just choke him up against the wall and say, "I'm going to you took everything from me. I'm going to take everything from you when you least expected." So yeah,
did you not want to be MJF at that moment? Because I did.
No.
Relax. Roddy Strong. Roddy Strong. He also calls Adam Cole and says, "Can't believe that MJF didn't ask us," and Adam's just telling him to shut up. So
he should have.
We're slow playing this. I'm hoping that this is all built into Full Gear. I'm hoping this is all just going to intersect and implode at Full Gear. Really building a lot here.
Don't build up your hopes too high, though. Sorry, I can't help myself.
It's my birthday week. I'm building up my hopes that I get some resolution.
Wait, when is your birthday?
This year it's the day before Thanksgiving, 22nd.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's easy to remember. It's 11/22, 11/22.
Mine is 1/1/1, so mine is easier. You get second easiest.
Cool.
1/1/1, January 11th.
January 11th. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was making sure it wasn't today. 11/1.
No.
I was like, no, your January birthday. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can remember mine 11/22 or the day that JFK was assassinated.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
buffs.
Wow. Okay, we went there.
Well, no, just history buffs.
Mhm.
I don't know.
You know that you say that when I went to Dallas for the first time was for WrestleMania 32, and I remember visiting my local friend, and I was like, "Okay, what's there to do?" And he was like, "You want to go see where JFK got assassinated?" I'm like, "Do you guys don't have anything else?" He's like, "No, we don't."
No, it's a big deal down there. People take people there. Yeah.
It is. There's like marks on the road and everything, but it was just funny because I'm looking to like explore the bar scene, restaurant scene. He's like, "You want to go see?" And I'm like, "I don't actually."
Well, there's plenty of.
I don't care how but to drive by it. If you're staying downtown, you're gonna see it whether you want to or not.
No, look, there's plenty of bar scene and stuff to do out there. But if you just had breakfast and it's 10:30 in the morning, you're looking for somewhere to go before the bars open, you can go see where JFK was assassinated.
Yeah, the book depository. Yay, can't wait.
I can remember being in Dallas and seeing Sheamus on a mechanical bull one time. That was funny as hell.
Oh, my goodness.
The Irish aren't meant to write the bulls. As I told him. All right, main event time here. We're getting off the tracks. So Bullet Club Gold comes out, and here comes the Acclaimed plus Daddy Ass, and then here comes MJF coming out in his pink boots, his pink tights, his Scissor Me Daddy shirt, pink scarf, all together now. And eventually we're going to end up hitting the Blade Runner from it's going to come down to Jay White and MJF. He's going to hit the Blade Runner on MJF. Jay White, 1, 2, 3, gets the pinfall victory on MJF. And then we build to Jay White's going to take that stolen AEW World title, and he's going to hit MJF with it. And then Max Caster jumps in and takes the bullet for MJF. Takes the bullet for him. And that eventually leads to a moment of scissoring. all four
No.
men, MJF and the Acclaimed, scissoring.
Please
Isa, go
let me
ahead.
talk. Please
Go
let
ahead.
me talk because
ahead.
you had your
Go,
rant
go.
over the women. It is my turn.
Yep.
This made absolutely no sense. No sense. There's 3 other guys to take the pin. Why would you let your world champ get pinned? Okay, maybe you gotta build some momentum for Jay White going into Full Gear, but his team fails him. First of all, my first rant is an entire show storyline just gets as predictable as it gets with the Acclaim end up being the partners. Then he eats the pin, and then he's scissoring. Your team failed you. You just freaking lost the match. You ate a pin. You're the world champ, and you're gonna end the show with you scissoring like nothing matters. I hated everything about this.
Before Jimmy goes, get everything you're saying. I would have preferred, because we still have a few more weeks, let the I disagree with you, Isa. Let Jay White pin MJF. Non-title situation, a lot of hoopla, a lot of moving parts. Try to get Jay White something, because you already have all these other challengers that you're distracting us with, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, whatever. So I'm okay with Jay White getting the pinfall on MJF, but I think end it there. End it with Jay White and crew standing over top of them like they have found the mystery.
Yes, if Jay White's gonna get the pin, then have the reaction that he should have had as the world champion.
And then next week or in a future week, MJF once again is outnumbered, and then Acclaimed and Max Caster do something again, and finally MJF eventually shows his appreciation. I agree. 20 and 10.
Appreciation. They cost him the win.
20 and 10 tonight.
Yep.
Well, they didn't cost him the win, but they came there to make it so it's 4-on-4. He's in a locker room. He's in a locker room where he's pretty much.
Scissoring is not scumbag behavior.
He's in a locker room where he's pretty much alienated. I get, but no, there was too much. They should have just ended with Jay White standing tall. So for at least the next week, I think Jay White might have a damn chance.
It felt like it was forced, trying to make people feel good at the end, despite the fact that MJF got pinned, doing the scissoring and all that kind of stuff. Let that be the last thing that people sees. Like you said, Justin, if you're going to let your world champion get pinned on television by Jay White, let that be the vision that they remember most, not this and all.
Because my first thought was holy S when I saw MJF take that pin. Imagine ending it at that.
Yeah.
Like that would have been genius. My whole point is like, if you're going to do that, then go through with that angle. But the ending on scissoring, like nothing just happened. I can't tell you how much it triggered me. Like it just
The scissor ending was something that, like, if you were bound and determined to do it tonight from Louisville, Kentucky, at the KFC Center, do it when the off into a live crowd to send them home happy. Don't let that be what you end TV on.
Thank you.
So, I've already, you kind of kill the whole idea of MJF getting pinned by having all that afterwards. So that's that. We still have 3 more weeks till we get to this damn match. This match that I know Jay White has no chance of winning. But I want to point out something else. We were talking earlier about announcements and shows. They announced, I think it was during like the entrances for MJF and the Acclaim, that they have their final event on 12/30. I don't even know if is this a pay-per-view? Let me pull my calendar up. Is this a pay-per-view or would this be a special Dynamite? December 12/30. So that's a Saturday. So it's a collision, I guess. Or it could be maybe it's a pay-per-view on a Saturday.
I don't think they would unless they're being preempted. All
right. Well,
they did say they were adding more pay-per-views to the calendar year.
Well, it's December 30th. So whatever it ends up being, December 30th, a Saturday. They're going to do an event called World's End. It's coming to you from the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. Coming to you from MJF's hometown. Coming to you on the final days of what MJF is saying is his contract. He says that he's a free agent come 2024. So again, one more thing that was just very interesting that, again, might be part of a big elaborate work. As I pointed out also earlier, Tony Khan likes to give people the nice sendaways, even if they're leaving them. Look at Jade Cargill. So there's an event they're going to end called World's End. That's going to be in MJF, your world champion's hometown. Just very curious to see what that's all going to mean.
Interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Yes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Isa, final thoughts, cheap plugs, hostile rants. Go ahead.
wish we would have done that ending differently. But overall, I really like that they try to do a show long storyline. It just ended so predictable with him going with the Acclaim. You know, it wasn't. I don't think that it was a must watch episode of Dynamite tonight. I'm sorry, there was nothing that you missed. But yeah, it was a show. It was there. It happened. You guys can find me here on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can find me on YouTube, NYC Demon Diva. I do watch-alongs for all these fantastic shows. I will be back for Crown Jewel on Saturday, so we're going to be watching that together. We're not drinking. Get some coffee. That one is too early for the drinking. And you guys can follow me on all social medias, NYC Demon Diva throughout.
Jimmy?
Tonight's show had its moments, but at the same time, it was a perfect example of 20 and 10 where things that should have mattered and left to people to go, wow, I can't wait to see this, got taken over by other stuff afterwards, which made you forget what you should be trying to retain, if that makes any sense. And as far as where you can see me, obviously here on Wednesday nights and with this trio, which is awesome. On Monday nights, it's Triple J. And you can catch me on the Reffin' It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner and RJ, who holds the glue together. And on all my social media platforms from Monday to Friday, my Reffin' Rants, where, as I like to say, I like to critique little things that I think, not to tear down, but to help tighten screws that I think need to be tightened. And that's pretty much it.
Tighten those screws.
Right.
Much appreciated. At Justin LaBar on across the socials. Yeah, I mean, I think again, like I kind of agree with you guys. There was some, we had to watch it, so there's things certainly to talk about. But in the grand picture, if you missed it, and then you tune in next week, you could probably catch yourself up on certain aspects of the stories. Certainly. Full Gear, a lot to discuss when we get to it. A lot of things that are, what trajectory you're going to. And then again, this whole World's End show, I can't ignore that situation and those factors. But at Justin LaBar across all the socials, here on Mondays, here on Wednesdays, Friday morning, Spar with LaBar on Busted Open Radio Channel 156. Always a lot of fun there with Dave Lewick, Thunder Rosa, Tommy Dreamer, and company. Do want to give a shout out, obviously, all in the last 8 months, all of y'all put up with my fandom of my Baltimore Orioles having a hell of a baseball season. They got booted in 3 games as soon as they got into the playoffs by the Texas Rangers. Shout out to the Texas Rangers, who just a few minutes ago they won the World Series. So just give a shout out to, if you're gonna get beat by a team, it's gonna boot you out of the playoffs. Might as well get beat by the team who goes on to be championships. Goes on to be champions. So shout out to them.
I call them Men in Black. I paid them some money. They erased this whole season from my memory, so I don't know what you're talking about.
She's so salty. She is Salt Lake City.
Watch that.
All right. Salt Lake City is where the Demon Divas residing tonight. That's gonna do it.
That's the Young Bucks. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're shacking up on the room next to them. That's gonna do it for tonight. Like, share, comment, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate it. We will see you again next week here on the Wednesday night podcast on Wrestling.